Hello there, people, and welcome to yet another edition of Stronghold. Today, we have just finished the tutorial, which was over here, and now we shall be checking out the military campaign, specifically mission number 1, Gathering the Lost. As I was trying to say last time, we have a bunch of different stuff. This being multiplayer, so of course it's ignorable. But both of these actually are other scenarios and whatnot to play through. Then we have here the economics, missions, campaigns. I think this you can just play around with. I think it's like the map editor, I'm not sure. We'll actually see when we get there. For the time being, I could care less. I don't even think I really bothered with anything else besides the military campaign as a child and the scenario editor. Those were the two main ones that I ever played around with. So yeah, it'll definitely be probably the most familiar area of the game to me will be the historical campaign, military campaign, should I say. And it's also the fact of the matter that I believe the military campaign kind of leaves off with the tutorial did. I believe now that we have the basics of how to do the tutorial, basically the military campaign is going to do is gradually introduce us to various elements of the game. And it'll go from, I believe the first few missions, like the first 3 or 4 missions, are going to be very, very simple, almost impossible to lose if I'm correct. And then it very quickly goes up in difficulty as we end up having to start doing combat and all that. Now, because of the fact that the first 3 or 4 don't really have any combat at all, if I'm correct, I forget exactly how long before we actually get to combat. I remember the first few didn't have combat. That means there isn't even a difficulty setting yet. You have to get to like the the 4th mission or so before you can actually change the difficulty around. So until that time, I'm not going to set difficulty. When I get there, I believe what I'm going to do is set to the hardest setting, very hard or whatever, and we're just going to try and wing it and hope for the best of luck. Yeah, you know me, I always set things to the hardest difficulty and end up cursing myself for sending it to the hardest difficulty. But we'll strive through it, and at the end of it, we'll hopefully be a master. Or we'll be crying miserably ourselves to sleep, but either way, we'll have done something. So, Gathering the Lost, let's start the mission. I believe there's a long cutscene sequence, so I'm going to be quiet during the length of it. So yeah, that's kind of one of the awkward things about this whole series is the fact that we're going to have long cutscene sequences, which means areas where I'm going to have to not be making active commentary. But after that, we can play around and it'll get to a point where I can start talking more. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit, people.
As soon as the king had marched his army into the barbarian homeland, rumors began of a plot to seize the throne. When news came of the king's capture, the country was invaded. Several nobles, including your father, sought to end the bloodshed, but on the way to meet for negotiations, their party was massacred by a band of unknown raiders. Bruised and exhausted, you have been beaten back to a forest on an overlooked peninsula where a small group of loyal troops are hiding. Although the country is lost, maybe from this refuge you can at least avenge your father's death.
I say we act now and strike while the iron is hot.
No. The few men we have would be cut down like lambs to the slaughter. We need time to gather our forces.
Nonsense! I shall take 6 of my finest men into enemy territory by the cover of darkness and...
No, just listen. Our men are close to starvation. This is what we must do.
The debate rages on well into the night, but eventually Lord Woolsack takes you to one side.
Sir Longarm tells me he knew your father well. which is why I'm giving you your chance to prove yourself. It is time you got your first taste of command.
So yeah, this is basically the peninsula that we've been forced back to after our domain was basically captured by all these invading forces. Or maybe actually it was here that we were, and we were pushed back after trying to negotiate or whatever. But yeah, there's basically 4 different layers: the Rat's Kingdom, Snake's Domain, Lanes of the Pig, and the Wolf's Lair. And if I remember correctly, I believe they basically are the order that we're going to be dealing with them mainly. So really, it's going to be like we have to deal with the whole rats thing, and then when we get past that, we'll finally get to the snakes area, and then on from that. If I remember how this game kind of goes. I don't believe I made it too far to actually see that type of progress beyond. I believe I made it past the rat to the snake. But we'll see. Yeah, I believe actually what happened was I did the entirety of the rat and then I made it to a snake and then was brutalized. So, yeah. And I believe that was on normal difficulty because I didn't know how to change difficulties. This should be interesting. Let's see how this works.
We need you to oversee the setting up of a good-sized base camp. Start by finding a suitable clearing, then use some of the wood plentiful in this area to begin your construction.
So yeah, this is the first mission of the campaign, and if you notice the objectives, they're pretty simple, because they're basically everything we've done in the tutorial. We know how to get meat, we know how to get wood, and that's really all we need to do in this campaign. We need to get 20 meat, and we need to get 40 wood. Wood being, I believe, like, we got like 10 apiece just from woodcutters, so like, you get like 3 or 4 woodcutters, you get your wood right there. As for meat, I believe, I think the hunters did like, I want to say 5 meat apiece. So, wait for them to do like 2 rounds of that, and you basically got 20 meat. So, yeah, it isn't that complicated of a mission at all, as it should be for the first mission. And as I said before, it basically continues right where the tutorial left off. If anything, this kind of overlaps to the tutorial in the fact that we basically are back to just kind of getting what we needed to learn in the tutorial. Okay. So we have hints and strategy for here. I'm not exactly sure why we need it this way, but I do recall this being a lot of RTS around the time. I know like Empire Earth and all these games had hints and strategies. I don't think there's any punishment to look at them, so why you would not read them, I don't know. As far as I know, there isn't any penalty, so I'm just going to read them. Like I said, I don't know how often I'm going to actually use the advice, but why wouldn't you read them? Start by building a couple of woodcutter huts, then place a couple of hunter posts. Pretty simple. Placing hunter posts close to the granary will speed up food production. I guess it makes sense because, yeah, the less time that they actually have to go between place to place, and the fact that deers move. But woodcut huts near trees will speed up wood production. That we basically knew from the tutorial. We also have the tutorial. This is going to be in basically every mission, and essentially it's going to basically tell us new stuff that's in the game. Every mission, generally, we're going to be getting new things, new things to control, new things to deal with. So it's going to be a thing where we're going to have constant variety being thrown at us and the ability to play with more as we progress further into the game, which makes it pretty rewarding as well. And thus, the entire game isn't just getting meat and wood. So a lot of this is going to be stuff that we already looked over. In fact, everything here is in fact all the buildings that we already covered in the tutorial. So I'm not really going to go over them again. Really, though, it's the keep, the granary, the woodcutter's hut, the hunter's post, and the hovel. So yeah, it's the exact same stuff that we saw in the tutorial. I don't think really, besides the stockpile, but really the stockpile is part of the keep. And it's just really for extra expansion. So really, yeah, just to summarize, keep, central command thing, you can really only have one of them, and it's just basically your base operations. Granary, storage for food, and basically, both of those two buildings are also used for popularity and whatnot. Hunter's Post, used for getting food. Woodcutter's Post, used for getting wood. And hovels are used for increasing the population. Pretty simple and straightforward. So, with all that in mind, let's actually start this game.
Place a keep to site your castle, my liege.
So, this is actually the official campaign, which they're not going to have blinky arrows this time, but yeah, there's not really much to it. We don't have any enemies that we have to deal with, just a nice little formation with a wide open area where you can easily place a key. No real difficulties here.
Site your granary, sire.
So, we'll gain our population up. Like I said, it's good because it kind of gives us a nice refresher from the tutorial. Even though we just did the tutorial earlier today, so I don't really need it. But it's nice to have, I guess. Plus the fact that we didn't exactly get a chance where we weren't really just instructed on what to do. So, this is pretty nice. 80 popularity.
The people love you, my lord.
And see, now we're getting, like, announcements. Where it's basically telling us, this is what you're going to hear a lot in the game. Basically telling you various things.
The people love you, my lord. Our granary stocks are growing, sire.
So they'll announce things as you look at them. And you'll get very, very used very, very quickly to what they say. I think the quotes in this game are one of the most memorable things. Just the things because you get used to units yelling the same things over and over. I think that could pretty much be said for any RTS. Ah yes, I remember like waterfalls. You create like a cliff and then you create like water above and below and it creates waterfalls like this scenario editor. That's something I love doing. Your options, delete. Like I said, it's still weird to hear music because I'm not used to music at all. Okay, so how much wood do we have? 25?
Our food stocks are dwindling, my liege.
Yeah, we only have 8 months supply and 13 years of food. We really need to get some food and stuff going. Let's start with some wood. Where's a good wood stockpile? I'll get one about here. Take one over here. Take one over here. Say 3 woodcutters, that's pretty good. And then we'll get like 2 hunter posts.
A message from your scribe. Animal tracks have been reported in the area, sire.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of messages on our screen, and they'll usually tell us stuff like that. That we'll have... Actually demolish that one. I'll just throw it randomly over here instead. But yeah, basically we'll get messages telling us about things. Animal tracks, not that big of a deal, honestly. But it will tell us various situations as they occur. So our goals is to get 20 wood. Here's our... How do you see your objectives? That's how I do that. Just save this here.
Saving!
Here's our save. And you listen loved. Brilliant. Oh, here it is. Here's the briefing. Tells us how much wood we have and how much meat we have currently, and that's our goal. So we need to get to 20, we have 6, and we need wood, we have 3. Wood's going to be a lot easier to get because, well, we're not constantly losing wood. It's just actually the beginning, getting the stockpile going. But now that we're not getting constantly losing it, it should be rather quick. It's still so weird with the music, but it definitely adds another little element to the game to have the music go in instead of just pure silence. That's 39 wood. Wait a minute. Didn't we only need like 40 wood? Yeah, we're 1 wood away. That's how fast it is. Now, food on the
Granary
other...
stocks are very low, sire. Our granary stocks are growing, sire.
Yeah, we're at 8 units of food. We might want... I actually might want another one. That's the thing, I don't know...
Our granary stocks are growing, sire.
We're at 13 units of food. I might actually want more. We seem to be growing down pretty fast. I'll do another Hunter's Lodge. Sit idle for a second, then we get a hunter. Because we have plenty of deer. These are like fords where you can basically cross, but it slows you down. Remember that. So, our biggest issue right now is going to be food.
Our food stocks are dwindling, my liege.
I mean, I could cut down, and just win the game that way. But I think the whole idea is to try and actually see if we can manage it. So if we can't manage this, we're pretty doomed. Okay, now we definitely have over 40 wood.
Our granary stocks are growing, sire.
Alright, so we're at 13. We need just to get to 20. So we're not that far away, but it's a matter of the fact that these two are eating it all.
A message from your scribe. Scouts are reporting that packs of wolves are closing in on the castle. We must get the supplies stored.
Uh-oh, packs of wolves are closing on the castle? Yo, you better get the supplies. Wolves are not good. Not sure if actually we'll be dealing with wolves yet. Hopefully not. But if so, we want to get it done quickly. Because wolves will be pretty lethal. Because we have really no defenses whatsoever. Not sure if our hunters would be able to keep us alive.
Our food stocks are dwindling, my liege.
Really, we just need the hunters to get back and chop up the meat. Hey! Why was there 2 corpses? Why didn't you take that corpse? Are you randomly just hunting for sport? You're supposed to be taking all the meat. You're killing deer for the heck of it. That's not strategic. Alright, so we're getting some food.
Our food stocks are dwindling,
This should
my
do it.
liege.
There we are. And victory. Well, that was simple.
We are victorious, sire.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at 66 wood extra. Look at that point. I don't really think points matter. I'm not going to care about scores at all. But yeah, there we are. We did it. Something.
Whilst the men frantically ferry precious supplies into the granary, Sir Longarm and Lord Woolsack ride into the camp.
Job well done. Not too bad for your first attempt.
I actually tried to cancel it out. Technical difficulties. I don't know how things work. Oops. I have to redo the mission. I'm sorry, people, but we have to redo the mission. Because I accidentally didn't listen to the ending cutscene. So, okay, so
we
until we
need you
see...
to
Place a keep to sight your castle, my liege.
This mission's pretty simple, so I'm just gonna do Powerhouse at this time. Really, the whole thing is that we need to listen to the end cutscene until we see that text on the screen that says the next mission. So, yeah, I kind of didn't realize that. I thought that was the start
Sight
of
your
this
granary,
mission,
sire.
and I didn't want it to overlap, so we ended up kind of getting punished for that. So we're gonna get some woodcutters, bam, bam. Woodcutters aren't a problem at all. And this time we're just gonna go straight away with 3. Bam, bam, bam. Come on, hunters. We can do this.
Our granary stocks are growing, sire.
I mean, if we got really quick at it, we might even get food before we really have time to do anything. Because we're already at 18.
Our granary stocks are growing, sire. No change in the treasury, lord.
So really, we have the supplies to begin with. It's just a matter of getting it kind of back from where we started. So, hopefully these woodcutters... This guy's flexing for whatever reason. But yeah, we end up having to kind of do all this again, sadly. But it's kind of good to practice because it's the basics of the rest of the game. And we'll have the cutscene at the end. And this time around, we'll actually see the cutscene. So oopsie, my bad. But it's not that big of a deal. It wasn't that complicated of a mission. It extends the gameplay of this level a bit more. And he is the Lord who can attack when he wishes. For me, I thought it was red so I could actually attack something, but no.
Our granary stocks are growing, sire.
Only 18 units, so these two are about to get up. Okay, that's 13. Come on, people, chop! Chop that wood!
Our granary stocks are growing, sire.
There we are, 23, so we got our food right there. We look at our thing, we already got 20 meat, we just need
A
wood.
message from your scribe. Animal tracks have been reported in the area, sire.
So already, we're doing this a lot faster. Last time we
Our
had
granary stocks
food
are growing, sire.
running out. Now we definitely have food for the ready. So it seems that the default 3 hunters posts are pretty
A
good.
message from your scribe. Scouts are reporting that packs of wolves are closing in on the castle. We must get the supplies stored.
So yeah, we just need one more woodcutter to bring back the wood, and we'll be done. Because we're at 37. This guy's already chopping it up. And then we'll be pretty
Our
good.
food stocks are dwindling, my liege.
Because we have plenty of food. That's not really the concern at all. We're getting more food than we're losing. And that was kind of the point. Watch as this turns out to actually have been a bad idea and it'll punish me in the future scenarios. But as far as I know, 3 hunters posts are good.
Our granary stocks are growing, sire.
And there we are, victory. That way, now we can actually see this end cutscene I was trying
Victory!
to look for. And this time we didn't do as good. Really, the trick to being this level with a good score is just to get a ridiculous amount of wood, put stockpiles, and just keep getting wood. That really is how to get a good score on this level. Like I said, I'm not caring about scores at all. I'm just going to try and beat the levels. So, yeah.
Whilst the men frantically ferry precious supplies into the granary, Sir Longarm and Lord Woolsack ride into the camp.
Job well done. Not too bad for your first attempt.
No, no, no! The fool has pitched camp in the middle of the wolves' migration track.
Good. It will give the men some well-needed practice before we make our strike.
Poof! Now I have no choice but to send out a scout to find a more permanent position.
And yeah, this shows at the end of the level the fact that now we have some of our kingdom. Before, everything was neutral, and we didn't have any land at all. Now we've set up camp. Of course, we've set up camp in the middle of full migration areas, which means we may have to deal with wolves in the future. But it will also give us a good chance to practice combat. So, that'll be what the future campaigns probably scenarios will be on. And I'll skip past that. And next time around, we'll actually get to mission number 2, finishing the fort. But yes, that was the first mission. Get wood, get food, and yeah, not much at all. Very, very uneventful because it really just said what the tutorial already said. But it was good practice, and it also was good practice for me because now it tells me exactly what I'm looking for before I declare the video complete and can skip the cutscenes. So, until next time, people, thank you for watching. I shall see you all later.